You are going to spend $172,500 on healthcare after you retire. That number comes from Fidelity's 2025 annual estimate. It assumes you have Medicare. It does not include long-term care, and it is after tax, which means if you plan to pull that money from your 401k, you do not need $172,500. You need closer to $221,000. The difference is $48,000. And it comes down to one account that 52% of people who have it do not even know works this way. The account is the Health Savings Account, or HSA. And the reason most people underfund it or skip it entirely is that the standard advice has the priority order wrong. Max the 401k first, then the IRA, and the HSA if there is anything left. That order feels responsible. It is also quietly costing you decades of compounding inside the most tax-efficient account in the entire U.S. tax code. Today we are going to look at why that priority order exists, why the math says it is backwards for a specific group of people, and what the triple stack actually does to your retirement picture when you run the numbers over 30 years. If you want more breakdowns that go this deep into the mechanics of how your accounts actually work, this is Sarah's Money Map. Subscribe now, and it costs you nothing but might save you 5 figures. Let's start with what most people know, which is the 401k advantage. Pre-tax money goes in. It grows without being taxed each year. And you pay income tax when you pull it out in retirement. That is a double tax advantage. Pre-tax going in. Tax-deferred growth. It is genuinely powerful, and the employer match makes it non-negotiable. Nobody should walk away from free money. We are not arguing that here. But here is where conventional wisdom stops short. It treats the 401k as the ceiling, the best possible deal. And that ceiling is wrong. The HSA has 3 tax advantages, not 2. Money goes in pre-tax, just like the 401k. It grows completely tax-free, just like the 401k. And then it comes out tax-free. That third layer is the one the 401k cannot touch. Every dollar you pull from a traditional 401k for retirement gets taxed as ordinary income. Every dollar you pull from an HSA for qualified medical expenses does not. 0 tax on the way out. That is what I call the triple stack. 3 separate moments where the tax code steps aside. Pre-tax in, tax-free growth, tax-free out. No other account in the U.S. tax code does all 3. Now here is why that third layer matters so much more than it sounds. Picture 3 bars. The first bar is your $401k dollar going in. The second bar is that same dollar after 30 years of compounding at 7%. That bar is now $7.61. But before you can spend it, the IRS takes a piece. At a 22% effective rate in retirement, you are left with about $5.94. The bar shrinks. Now look at the HSA bar. Same dollar going in, same 30 years, same 7% compounding, same $7.61. But this time, when you use it for a medical expense, you keep all $7.61. The bar does not shrink. The gap per dollar is $1.67. Scale that across $4,300 a year for 30 years and the lifetime advantage is significant. This is not a rounding error. This is the mathematical difference between 2 accounts doing the same job. Let me bring in a character here. Her name is Priya. She is 34 years old. She has an HDHP through her employer and a 401k she has been maxing since 26. She is doing everything right by the standard playbook. She puts the minimum into her HSA each year, spends it down on copays and prescriptions, and moves on. The account stays small. She treats it like a debit card for doctor visits. 8 years pass. Priya looks up one afternoon and realizes her HSA balance is $400. Her 401k is in great shape, but she has been running one engine when she could have been running 2. What Priya did not know is that there is no time limit on HSA reimbursements. She could have paid every one of those copays out of pocket, kept the receipt, and left the money inside the HSA to compound for decades. Then, at 65, she reimburses herself for every dollar she spent in her 30s and 40s, tax-free. While the original contribution has been growing the entire time, the account has no expiration date. The receipts never expire. The math just gets better with time. This is what most people miss. They treat the HSA as a spending account. The triple stack only works if you treat it as an investment account first and a spending account second. Now let me address the obvious pushback because it is real and it matters. The HSA only works if you are enrolled in a high deductible health plan, or HDHP. If your employer offers a PPO with low copays and predictable costs, and you have kids who see the doctor often, or you manage a chronic condition, the HDHP may cost you more out of pocket than you save in tax efficiency. That is a legitimate case for the PPO, and nobody should ignore it. The strongest argument for staying on the PPO is this. If your family runs $2,000 a year in predictable medical expenses, a PPO might cover most of that with flat copays. The HDHP requires you to hit a deductible of at least $1,650 for individuals or $3,300 for families before insurance kicks in. In a high-usage year, the math can flip. The triple stack advantage evaporates if the deductible exposure wipes it out. That is the legitimate case. But it only holds if you're actually a high-utilization family with consistent spending. For the healthy 30 to 45-year-old professional with low annual medical costs, the HDHP plus HSA combination tends to win on the math. Here is the conditional truth. The triple stack only beats the 401k for healthcare dollars if three things are true. You are eligible for an HDHP. You can afford to pay current medical expenses out of pocket, and you are actually investing the HSA balance rather than leaving it in cash. Most people fail on that third condition. Fidelity's research shows only 3 in 10 people are investing their HSA assets. The rest are leaving their balance in a cash account earning almost nothing. That is the healthcare equivalent of keeping your retirement savings under a mattress. The triple stack requires all 3 layers to work. If you are not investing, you only have one. Let me show you what the gap looks like at a larger scale. Fidelity estimates a 65-year-old retiring today needs $172,500 in after-tax savings just for healthcare. That number has more than doubled since 2002, when the estimate was $80,000. Healthcare inflation has been running faster than general inflation for over 2 decades, and there is no sign that changes. Now think about where that money comes from. If it comes from your 401k, you are paying ordinary income tax on every withdrawal. At 22%, you need to withdraw approximately $221,000 pre-tax to net a $172,500. The extra $48,000 is a tax bill. It is money you earned, saved, compounded for 30 years, and then handed over before a single medical expense got paid. If that same $172,500 comes from an HSA used for qualified medical expenses, the tax bill is zero. You needed exactly $172,500, not a dollar more. That is the healthcare tax trap. Not a penalty, not a fine. Just the ordinary mechanics of pulling retirement income from the wrong account for a specific category of spending. And yet only 15% of Americans ages 55 to 64 have an HSA. More than half of those people do not know it can work as a retirement savings vehicle at all. The window to build this account is wide open in your 30s and 40s. Most people let it close without realizing it was there. There is one more layer worth understanding. When you withdraw from a 401 coin in retirement, that withdrawal counts as ordinary income. That income can trigger 2 things you may not expect. First, it can push more of your Social Security benefits into taxable territory. Second, it can trigger IRMA surcharges on your Medicare premiums. Those surcharges range from roughly $70 to over $400 extra per month, based on your income 2 years prior. HSA withdrawals for medical expenses do not count as income. They are invisible to the IRS calculations that determine Social Security taxation and Medicare surcharges. That invisibility has compounding value the deeper into retirement you go. The HSA also has no required minimum distributions. Your 401k forces withdrawal starting at age 73. The HSA lets you decide when and how much for as long as you live. After 65, if you pull HSA funds for non-medical reasons, you pay ordinary income tax, but no penalty. It behaves exactly like a traditional IRA at that point, except without the mandatory distribution schedule. 2 accounts, same contribution, 3 versus 2 tax advantages. No RMDs versus forced withdrawals. 0 income visibility versus full taxable exposure for a $172,000 healthcare expense. This is not a close comparison for the specific dollars you will spend on healthcare. Here is the protocol. 3 steps. You can run all 3 this week. Step 1. Check your health plan type. Log into your benefits portal and confirm whether you are enrolled in an HDHP. If you are not, check whether your employer offers one. Starting in 2026, certain ACA Marketplace Bronze and Catastrophic plans also qualify. If you are on an HDHP and do not have an HSA open one now. You do not need your employer to offer one. You can open an HSA at any major custodian. Step 2. Move the balance into investments. Log into your HSA and check whether your balance is sitting in a cash money market fund. Most accounts require a minimum cash buffer, often around $1,000, before allowing investment. Move everything above that buffer into a low-cost index fund. This is the step most people never take. Without it, the triple stack does not work. Step 3. Start the shoebox. From this point forward, pay every medical expense you can out of pocket. Take a photo of every receipt and save it in a folder, a cloud drive, or a literal shoebox. You do not need to file them anywhere. You just need them. In 10 or 20 years, you can reimburse yourself for every dollar in that folder tax-free while the original contributions have been compounding the entire time. 3 steps. Benefits portal, investment toggle, receipt folder. You can do all 3 in under an hour. The triple stack is not a loophole. It is not a secret. It is a feature of the tax code that has been sitting in plain sight since 2003, when HSAs were created. The reason most people do not use it is the same reason they follow the standard priority order without questioning it. The 401k is familiar. The match is obvious. The HSA feels like a healthcare tool, not a retirement tool. But the IRS built an account with 3 tax doors and most people only open 2. Think about what $172,500 actually represents. At the median American household income, that is roughly 2.5 years of pre-tax earnings. It is 2.5 years of your life, converted into a tax payment on your health care because the money came from the wrong account. The triple stack does not eliminate healthcare costs. Nothing does. But it routes those costs through the only pipeline in the tax code designed to handle them without taking a cut at the end. I want to hear from you in the comments. Are you currently treating your HSA as an investment account or as a spending account? Drop your answer below. I read every comment because the gap between those 2 answers is where most of the money gets lost. If this breakdown shifted how you think about your account priority order, hit the like button. It helps Sarah's Money Map reach people who are still following the standard playbook without questioning it. And if you have a friend who is maxing a 401k while leaving the HSA in cash, send them this video. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. For educational and entertainment use only. I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing here is personal financial advice. Investing involves risk. Some AI tools may be used, but I, Sarah, still check and edit the final content.